What's up, people? In today's video, I'm going to go over stat sticking companions, what it looks like, why you should do it, and how to do it, and the different tools you can use. Let's get straight into it. Just to show you guys what I'm talking about, I'm talking about status chance. Getting your kubrow to have a lot of status chance. I should have mentioned this is a kubrow thing. Kubrows are very good right now, and you're going to want to build into them for them to do damage. It is very worth it currently. So what I'm mainly talking about is with the use of Mecha Overdrive. The weapons that take advantage of this the best, the way to mod those weapons to take advantage of this the best, and how good it can be. So you can see I have 341% status chance. If I take this mod off, it goes all the way down to 64%. What this mod is doing is making it so that 60% of the status chance on my primary weapon gets added to my companion's weapons, being these claws. It also gives 90% status duration and is a part of the Mecha mod set. This set is very strong with a 4 mods in the set. Your companion will put a kubrow icon on an enemy's head every 15 seconds. That lasts 12 seconds. And when that enemy dies, all of their statuses will be applied to enemies within a 30-meter radius. The potency in terms of the range that it spreads to and how often it does a mark is dependent on how many pieces are in the set. So as you can see, with only a 3 set, it's every 30 seconds in a 22.5 meter radius. So keep that in mind. This mod, however, if you don't want to use the mecha set, is still good because of the way that stat sticking works. There's also Hunter Synergy, which can allow you to stat stick off of the crit chance from your primary weapon and add that to the companion, but it's at 30% instead of 60%. And I'm going to get into it, but I don't really think crit on companions, at least for kubrows, is very strong, especially with the mecha set being a thing, with Contagious Bond being a thing, with Call of the Week being a thing that wants you to not crit to do more damage and is condition overload effect to get more damage when they have more statuses, and just with the overall abundance of status chance you can get, like Burning Claws. Sure, you can go with Bite, but Bite is ultimately just a way to get Tandem Bond to proc, and Tandem Bond is not really that good in my opinion. Sure, crit damage is nice, but the same things that would die without the mod are going to die with the mod. It's not really like crossing any kill thresholds, it's just nice to see more damage, you know? So, but status chance actually does cross thresholds and actually does give a noticeable amount of more damage. So, that's why it's nice to go into it. With that out the way and kind of what it is and the mods that allow it, let's get into the weapon and talk about where all the status chance is coming from for this mod. So when it comes to primary weapons to utilize this mod, you have a few options. Obviously, if you're going the Mecha Overdrive route, and the better route in my opinion, which is stat sticking for status, you're going to want weapons with a high base status chance, because that is going to directly affect how much you can get out of the mod. In terms of the highest status chance weapon in the game currently, that goes to the kubrow. With a 90% base status chance, this weapon already with no mods on it, and if I take out the status chance on my companion itself, gives a 69% status chance to my companion as opposed to 15. That gun is unmodded, and we're going to get into why the mods really matter. So, if I go to my dog status stick build, you can see it now has 461%. This is what's getting my kubrow to that delicious 341% status chance. So, the way we do this is pretty obvious. You just put every single mod that has status chance on the weapon. Savvy, your 60/60 mods, and then a Riven, if you have one, with status chance. It just so happens for the comb to get a Riven with status chance on it is pretty cheap, guys. I went to the trading chat. I put want to buy comb Riven with status chance, don't care about the other positives. I got this for 40 plat. It had status chance and something else on it, and I re-rolled it to this. And it was somewhere between 0 and 3 rolls. So, yeah, very cheap to get one of these. Definitely not that hard. And even without a Riven, obviously, it's fine. This is basically just like having a hammer shot or something on here that I wouldn't have otherwise been able to get because it's a shotgun. Or like almost another galvanized set or another shotgun savvy. It's basically like that. If this was to have a negative, it would be even better than savvy, right? And you might be thinking, well, what if I want to use these weapons and these Rivens to also do damage with the gun? Well, if you also are using it on the comb, it just so happens that status chance is actually not that bad to have on the comb in a Riven, and you can go status chance multi-shot fire rate or something like that, and still have a very solid Riven that is also good for killing ads as well as stat sticking. In the last 2 slots, I just went with the 2 hunter mods that can go on your primary weapon. This is just to get to the hunter set bonus, to get it to 100%, because I'm doing damage with my companion. This is a stat sticking gun. I don't care about the damage on my gun. I like getting my companion more damage though, and I can get 50% more with these 2 mods. Then I went with dexterity because combo duration. There's other mods though that are not bad. You don't really need Kubrow. There's a lot of other weapons. So to get into some of those, probably number 2 would be Sporothrix. The Sporothrix base status chance is 53%. It's a big fall from 90%, but I think this is the second best highest status chance weapon, or at least close to it. That just shows you how big of a fall it is and how good the Kubrow really is. But modded, this is still 281%, which still gets our claws to 233, which is very good. Anything above 130% status chance, in my opinion, is pretty solid. Getting a decent chance to proc more than 1 status is really nice, and at least having a guaranteed status is nice. So that's Sporothrix. The build looks like this. It's basically the exact same, but we use hammer shot instead of one of the 60/60s because that is 80% status chance. And our Riven is a status chance Riven. Next up, another weapon. This is more of a budget weapon. These are not really in order. The Daikyu is probably like way farther down the list than number 3 best for this kind of build. But the Daikyu is very affordable as it comes from the dojo. And this is 207% status chance with all of the mods in it. We compare that to the Sporothrix with the same kind of build, and that is 281. So it is less, but it is still plenty good, and none of these mods are extremely hard to get. The hardest one being hammer shot, a bit of a pain, but I've seen the prices going down lately. This is definitely a very good budget weapon. Even without hammer shot, you're going to be getting plenty of status chance. The same kind of build, status chance, hammer shot, munitions, hunter track, dexterity. 207% status chance brings our kubrows claws to 188%. I would say if you can get to 188%, that is very solid. With that out the way, I'm going to show you guys some clips, some gameplay talking about why it actually matters to do this and how much more effective the kubrows are as a result of doing the stat sticking. Alright guys, here we are in the simulacrum. I took Mecha Overdrive off, so this will be a non-stat stick showcase basically, to show the comparison between it being stat sticked and not. So he's going to go in here with a 20.7% status chance, and you can see 2 hits, no statuses. There's an 80% chance he's not going to apply a status, so the majority of the time he will not apply a status. That means Cold a Weak is sucking because he's hitting them with no statuses on them most of the time. And that just means his overall damage is sucking because he's not benefiting from the status damage mod I have on him. And he is not benefiting from the actual damage of status itself. So, if I then throw on the mod here, The status damage mod, by the way, being this one right here. If I throw in the mod here, you can see it. Simulacrum bugs it out. 341% status chance. Now when he hits these enemies, he is guaranteed to do 3 status effects. 2 heat, 1 slash. And there's a 40% chance that he will do an additional status like that. And you can see just how much more damage he's doing because he's applying more status for cold a week to allow him to do more damage. And all of those heat procs are doing absurd amounts of damage. There he goes, he got a kill, procced Contagious Bond, proccing again and again and again. Contagious Bond works really good with this setup because when they're dying to his statuses, they're going to spread those statuses in a 9-meter radius from the enemy that was defeated. A max of 100 stacks can be spread, and if an enemy dies by the spreaded status effects, they too will spread status effects of their own in another 9 meters from that person. So you can see having at least 100% is huge. Anything over is even better because more statuses. That is basically the benefits of stat sticking, the difference between doing it and not doing it, and now let's put it to the extreme and use Dante. Dante, for buffing companions, is probably the best frame you can use, and a lot of that comes down to final verse page flight. In my video discussing Jade, I said that this character got butchered. And in hindsight, he did not get butchered. I just like big damage numbers, and his 2 and his ult with the 2 got line of sight. And that freaking sucks for doing damage. But his buffs are still insane, and one of them being page flight. This gives status damage increase to the enemies that the birds hit, and status vulnerability to the enemies the birds hit. The enemies will take more status chance and more status damage. This ends up being a crap ton of extra damage because just by having more statuses on an enemy, you're already doing more, but then it's also increasing the damage of those statuses on top of that. We can also put on Roar and get a further increased damage buff on top of double dipping 2 statuses. And by casting 2 light verses and then ulting, we get Triumph, which gives Overguard, and on kills, Overguard over time. This Overguard over time can be applied by our pet to us. If our pet kills something, it gives us the Overguard and the pet Overguard, so we cannot die. When Overguard breaks, you go temporarily immune, so as long as your companions are killing something within that 2-second time that the regeneration duration is up for, you cannot die. And yeah, they're going to be killing something more than every 2 seconds. So I'm going to take off Duplex Bond so that my clones are not messing with this, because using abilities will spawn clones with Duplex Bond. I will do my 2 for the Overguard, and a Dark and a Light for the Page Flight. This is with no Roar, this is just seeing the potency of his statuses with the Page Flight. And you can see how many heat procs he's applying, how many slash procs he's applying, and the spread of Contagious Bond absolutely demolishing the ads. That was with no Roar. If you want to see it with Roar, it looks like this. Yeah, you do not need to play the game. I can just stand here walking around, my pet kills everything, and both of us can never die because we're both getting Overguard. These buffs are also applying to any actual teammate players as well, so very, very good. Now, we're going to put on Duplex Bond and show what that looks like. This is my kubrow build, by the way, if you're wondering. So I'm going to put my buffs back on, and while I'm doing that, it's going to spawn these clones. And after this, I will show the Dante build. So there we go, there's all my clones, they're all roared up. And yeah, it's really just not fair. that the ads are dying slower because Contagious Bond only procs if the host gets the kill, not the minions, but the overall DPS still ends up being remotely the same, if not higher, because you're just getting that many more guys running around. So yeah, you can see why companions are really good right now, especially if you buff them up, especially if you stat stick them and use the Mecha Empowered set. Let's get into the Dante build just to be transparent here. So my Dante build looks like this. I went for Mecha Empowered and Mecha Pulse to complete the set. The Mecha set is not nearly as good without 4 pieces, and these mods are not terrible. Yes, armor is kind of pointless because Overguard, does not benefit from armor, but it completes the set, so why not? Other than that, I just went for basically all strength, including Precision Intensify, with duration here and here, and a bit of range to compensate for the narrow-minded. I went for a half-rank narrow-minded because I want my buffs to be big enough that I don't need to follow my pets around to reapply them every time they run out, and I can just cast it and know that my companions will be in range. This also makes it just that much easier to apply it to actual players as well. Who cares about those guys though, right? It also makes the roar better at hitting those companions as well, so heck yeah. Enough duration to make my buffs last 76 seconds. That's before more efficiency, which pushes that to 90 seconds, a minute and a half of the buffs. And roar goes much higher than 51 as well. More augmented, no brainer, more power strength. That's the build on Dante. Now that we're done talking about the stat sticking, the way to min-max it, let's just glance over the actual mods that I'm using, so that you can kind of get an idea of what you pair with this stuff. So I have Precision Conditioning to get melee damage, and all base physical damage types will be converted to slash. I still have Impact on here because of Persistent Posture, but you can see if I did not have this on, I would not have Impact, and the Impact that is on there is turned into slash damage, which is obviously what we want because it does damage over time and benefits from immunity resistance. Hunter Synergy for the Hunter set bonus, Maul for melee damage, Mecha Overdrive obviously, Burning Claws, heat damage does damage over time, and I like heat over electricity or toxin. Immunity resistance, obviously, 50% status damage increase. Bell Ringer because I didn't really see anything better to put here besides maybe Bite, which I'm too poor to put on, but I don't think having crit chance is good, and it's actually a hindrance in some ways because of Coda Weak, which is condition overload for your pet and causes non-critical hits to do additional damage. On the actual companion itself, I have Resourceful Retriever for an 18% chance at double loot, Mecha Recharge to complete the Mecha set, Momentous Bond, so killing an Eximus grants a random element to our companion on top of the slash, impact, and heat, Duplex Bond, so every 100 energy spawns a clone up to 3 that live for 30 seconds, do not have health because they are unkillable, and can drop energy orbs on kill. Hunter Command for another part of the Hunter set, and to have a way to prioritize them hitting things. Fetch to pick up loot. Contagious Bond is a mini mecha set. It spreads those statuses in a 9-meter radius, and we have so much status chance and damage that this ends up being really good. And it can self-propagate, so an enemy that dies by the statuses spread from this can then spread them again. Tandem Bond, so using heavy attacks with my Magistar, melee of choice, will grant 30% melee damage per combo multiplier. So if I'm at a 5x, that is a bunch of extra damage. 150%. Enhanced Vitality, this is just health for my companion. And Retrieve, so this is the Chases mod, and this basically gives it a mini Necros effect that can give health, energy, loot, ammo off of enemies within 30 meters every 10 seconds. With all that out of the way, let's go to my favorite place to test stuff in actual Steel Path, which is a Mott Survival on the Void. This is not a fluke, this is not a simulacrum thing. It's very strong in actual missions. I'm bringing Dante to show the near max potential of these guys, aside from maybe potential min-max things that I'm just not aware of. But this is a very easy thing to accomplish, so I'll do the Overguard. You can see my guys are just going to go normally. This is no buffs, just getting over guard. They're already going ham. Need some energy here. There we go. Yeah, that's Contagious Bond. That's Contagious Bond. I myself didn't even know what was going on. I'm gonna pop roar. That cascaded all the way from spawn to in here. 30 meters away from me. That is hold on, just for science, how far did that actually go? That went basically 110, 115 meters. Yeah, that's Contagious Bond for you guys. You can see because of Tandem Bond, they're building up my combo for me as well. At least the host Kubrow is. Yeah, look at Contagious Bond just going wild. I'll build up some combo here so I can actually give them even more damage because I can heavy attack with my Tandem Bond. I might as well go all the way to 12x, right? Never hurt anybody. Where to add that? They're all up top. I'm almost there. Alright, there we go. The max damage I can give them. Spawn in my clones again. If you want to get really goofy too, you can do double dark and then wait until your companions hit something. And then you can pop this version of Final Verse that multiplies the damage over times they have on them. So it'll just nuke them. I've seen it hit like 100 million sometimes even. It goes absolutely insane. But yeah, we're just kind of chilling. Companions are killing everything. I'm going to cast more buffs so that I can keep my clones up. There we go. Might as well cast this one too. Why not? There we go. Get a heavy attack in here for the buff to them. And I have 320 kills in 2.5 minutes. That is over 100 kills a minute with freaking kubrows doing 99% of the work. And yeah, as you can see, I was about to say I can't die. The problem with this area is those enemies up there can shoot me, and my kubrows cannot reach them, so that is not the best case scenario. But if I was to stand like in here, for example, I wouldn't be able to die. That was kind of bad timing, huh? Makes me look like a liar. I swear, I've done 30-minute survivals of just walking around like this, and I was not able to die. That was unfortunate. I'm not a liar, I promise. But yep, there goes Contagious Bond again, spreading all over the place. Finally, the Acolyte is spawning. Alright. Proc Tandem Bond. Use my abilities to make sure I'm at the max clones. Let's go up and meet him, shall we? Get him, boss. Me not hitting him at all. And he's dead. Yep, that's the Acolyte. That's companions, that's stat sticking your companion. That is like a really good frame to min-max them. Hope you guys found this video helpful, informative. Hope you guys start messing with kubrows because I find it so much fun and I think they're a blast right now. I think they're a little bit too strong right now possibly. I'll see you guys in the next one though.